Hey guys, it's Ryan here with Hobbies and Man once again, and today we're going to be doing another manga review. Today we're going to be looking at Royale Omnibus 1. This is volumes 1 and 2, and well, it's a very weird series. I don't hate it though, I think it's quite good, but there are definitely major issues with it, so we'll talk about that here. I don't think I'll ever talk about this on the channel again, besides, maybe mentioning it in the haul videos, and at the end of the month and wrap-up videos. I don't think I'll do reviews for this at all beyond this one because, well, it's kind of hard to talk about the content that's in here multiple times over a lot of videos because I'm sure that none of those videos will be successful or will cause people to get mad, right? So I'd rather just avoid that issue. But I did want to talk about it at least once, right? So yeah, let's get started here. So the author here is Ryu Takato, who actually is a pretty good and successful mangaka. So he has done an adaptation of Devilman called Devilman Grimoire or Devilman G. I've been wanting to get that series for a long while, and now that I know that it's written by or done by the same guy that did this, I want it even more because I really like his art style. So yeah, it's published by 7 Seas. This might be one of the first titles that got the Ghost Ship imprint logo on it, which is right there. It's a little disheveled ship, kind of like a Flying Dutchman type thing. And there's some issues with the spine here. There's some like gluing issues where the paper like got wet during the gluing process and stayed that way, and now it has like weird creases and bumps, but it's not too big of a deal. There's also some problems with the quality control in this book, which is upsetting because basically, when you bind a book, you kind of like put the pages together and hope that they're aligned. I'm sure there's an alignment process, but that doesn't always work. And then they cut the book afterwards, right, to make sure that it's all square. The problem is that many of the times they actually ended up cutting a little bit too much off the top. And it's not necessarily enough to be noticeable, but when I was looking up online for scanlations of this, I noticed that the pages were different. And I was looking at the scanlations because I was curious to know about a detail that is here at the bottom of the book, which is that all of the pages have like a slanting to the paneling at the bottom. And I was curious if that was because the pages were put in at an angle or because that's the mangaka's choice. And it seems like it's the mangaka's choice because even the scanlations, which are, going to be more or less perfect, had the same kind of situation going on. So there is some style to this, and the artwork is phenomenal, and some of the paneling is also pretty cool. So if you're a fan of artwork and you're not really too upset about what type of content it depicts, I definitely recommend you pick up at least one of the volumes of this story because it's pretty good. Like, for that alone, I think it's worth it. But sadly, that's not the only thing that this entails, right? So the demographic is seinen, at least I hope so. And the genres here are basically softcore porn to the extent that can exist, comedy, and ecchi, which is more or less what I just mentioned earlier, right? And so it's interesting, it's odd. There's this slice of life element as well. I say comedy with quotation marks because, as all things that come from Japan, their comedy or their sense of comedy is quite skewed and kind of odd for your average American. And when it comes to, things with adult themes, some of their comedy actually journeys more into sadism or kind of like, very fucked up territory that is not necessarily acceptable for your average comedy here in the States, right? So I don't know how to approach this that well, so we'll see. It does not have an adaptation, and I doubt that it ever will. There has been some good news for fans of the series recently. The mangaka actually stopped creating the series for a while. He had to go on hiatus because his family found out that he was writing this. They got upset with him, and so he had to stop for a while in order to deal with that situation, with the fallout of that reality, because Japan is a shame-based society, and so well, there's problems when you draw porn on in a magazine, right? So, yeah. But he recently came back. He decided that he was off hiatus and that he's going to start making more chapters. So goody for the degenerates, and I'm part of them. So goody for me as well. In terms of premise here, basically there's this young woman. She's older than 18 though. I think she's 19, and her name is Misora Haoburu. She's from Okinawa, which is an island off the coast of Japan, if I remember correctly. And she has moved to Tokyo to pursue her dream of stardom. She wants to be a singer. However, when she gets to Japan, she's very quickly found by a talent agent and actually moved away from trying to sing because, well, honestly, she sucks at it. She's really bad at it. She's tone deaf. However, the guy that she works for, the talent agent that she works for, obviously got her to do gravure because, well, look at her. And then started to push her towards adult content, right? Beyond just your average, modeling gig. They were pushing her towards AV. And, well, she didn't want to. However, eventually, it was set up so that she would have to do it. However, there was a way for her to get out of it, which was to battle all of the guys that were going to be in the video one-on-one. And if she defeated all of them, she could avoid her situation, right? Which is immensely horrible. Like, that is super fucked up. But the thing is that she was actually a karateka. She learned karate from her dad. I think it's because she's from Okinawa, and that's where they practice karate in Japan. They're very good at it. As far as I understand it there. And, well, she managed to destroy these 100 guys. And in general, the situation was funny because she wasn't really in any danger throughout the whole thing because she is superior to them in that sense. She was able to fight them off. There were some tense moments here and there where you were like, oh shit, is it going to happen? But it never did, thankfully, because I'm not a fan of stuff like that. Forcing these situations, I'm not a fan of it. And so she manages to escape from the clutches of this evil director, and she still works with the same dude, but she has managed to convince him that she's better off doing other things, and so she becomes like this low-level local famous person, right? And so she starts doing a bunch of crazy stuff. She meets another AV actress who is very sadistic. She's crazy, and they become friends to an extent. However, something happens, and they become antagonistic. And so this other JAV actress, now has it in for her. And so this comes back to bite her later in the second volume in the omnibus. But essentially, that is the setup. And there's a few things that come to mind after hearing something like that. First of all, only in Japan, like this would only happen in Japan, but also why? And then, okay, it's kind of cool. And then, oh shit, every couple chapters there's something disgusting. In terms of like morally disgusting, not necessarily like physically disgusting, although there's a few physically disgusting things. Although I don't want to kink shame, so I won't mention what they are because, well, everyone likes what they like, right? So it's not that big of a problem. However, there's definitely some elements of sadism here that I don't like. I've mentioned before that I've dropped some series before because the way that they treated some of the female characters there was sadistic to the point that it wasn't it wasn't enjoyable, especially because it was played as a joke. And so something like that does happen here, but it's only one chapter out of 20, and so it's not too bad. Whereas the other series that I dropped before for that same reason was basically every chapter a woman was getting beat up and it was played off as a joke, right? In this case, it doesn't really happen like that. Misaru definitely goes over a lot of trials and tribulations, but it's not necessarily horrible because you know that she is able to get herself out of them. She's just kind of dumb sometimes. And so there's an element of comedy from that. But sometimes it does cross over into kind of like really fucked up territory. So this might not be accessible to many of you. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Like, if it's not for you, please drop it. Like, stop reading it because it does kind of continue to do these things over and over again. And so you're not going to enjoy it. However, there is a certain element of interest here that is created because, well, one, the artwork is beautiful. It's phenomenal. It looks great. All of the characters are distinct and fun. Misaru is beautiful. And there's a lot of funny gags throughout this. Even though the comedy is sketchy sometimes, there's a lot of funny stuff. And also, when she starts fighting, the whole vibe of this book changes. And I actually really wish that this creator, instead of focusing on this like ecchi stuff, would focus on creating like a fighting series, like a woman-based fighting series, and then throw in some ecchi stuff, instead of make an ecchi series and then throw in some fighting stuff. Because this guy could create something similar to what the guys that are doing, like the new series by the creators of Kengan Ashura, which is basically about a bunch of women fighting each other. Like, this guy by himself could create what those three guys are doing together, but he chose not to. He chose to do this instead. And so I respect it, but I feel like he's wasting his talents a little bit, because he could be creating something awesome and badass, and instead he's only creating something that's sexy and kind of fucked up, right? And so he's wasting his talent a little bit. But I don't know, overall, I will continue reading this. I did enjoy it a lot. It was really fun. It's a little bit frustrating and sometimes because of the content that I mentioned, but in general, it was much better than it was bad. And so I'm happy to continue reading it, because I do like stuff like this. I just wish that there was less problems with it, right? But not so much that I don't want more of this guy's stuff. Like, I really like his content. What he creates, his manga, are all very good, and so I want to buy these so that we can eventually get more from him, right? So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I was very vague on some things, mostly because I'm afraid that YouTube is going to flag my video, not necessarily because I'm uncomfortable talking about these topics. I think that these topics should be explored in fiction. I just don't necessarily like them too much, even though they don't bother me that much either. Like there's a certain threshold about things that bother me in fiction, and it's very unlikely to reach it. But this one got close, and so there's like elements here and there that are bad. However, in order to have like a really frank discussion about this, I would have to do it somewhere that doesn't censor content based on like what you say in it. So I can't do it here, but it's good. Like if you're interested in it and you haven't really thought about doing it or getting it, and you need someone to tell you to do so, I'm telling you to do so. It's good. However, be aware that there might be some problems here and there with some of the content, right? So, it is what it is. I'll stop rambling because I stopped saying anything meaningful about 5 minutes ago. So those are my thoughts on Royale. It's good. It's enjoyable. Read it, but be careful because there's stuff that's not good. Thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know down below what you thought. And again, see you guys later.